Okay, so we're going to take a quick look at what monetary policy, how to tell the story of monetary policy, much as we looked at how to tell the story of fiscal policy and its effects on the economy, but then also how to graph, how to diagram the effects of monetary policy. So, again, expansionary monetary policy would be to decrease the reserve ratio, it would be to decrease the discount rate, it would be buy bonds and maybe use the term auction facility. Do you have to do all three of these things at the same time just to have expansionary monetary policy? No, but you can think of it as a question of degrees. If you were to use all tools at the same time, you were trying to go for maximum expansion, perhaps. If you only use one tool in a small way, then in that case you probably would be looking for a more nuanced or more careful approach. So excess reserves, because of these actions, excess reserves will go up. Therefore, banks have more money to lend. Money supply will go up, causing the nominal interest rate to decrease, which encourages firms to invest more. So gross private investment goes up. AD, therefore, shifts to the right or increases because IG is a component of AD. And when AD shifts right, we have an increase in price level, we have an increase in output. Unemployment goes down because we're moving to the right. Increasing output means we need more people to make those goods and services. And now it gets more interesting because the nominal interest rate has gone down. We probably see a decrease in dollar demand because there's fewer investors who want to come and invest in our country because the interest rate is now lower. They could probably make more money other places. Or the supply of dollars increases, shift to the right because those investors in the U.S. with dollars now want to go to other places that have higher interest rates. Dollar depreciates, goes down in value, making U.S. goods relatively cheaper for everyone outside of the U.S. and foreign goods relatively more expensive for people inside the U.S., causing exports to increase, imports to decrease, and then net exports would increase because X is going up, M is going down, and net exports is X minus M. So it reinforces the increase in AD. So AD has already shifted to the right because IG has increased, but now it's going to shift to the right a little bit more because net exports has also increased. What does it look like if we graph it? You have the money market in the top left, you have the investment demand curve in the top right, and then you have ASAD at the bottom. So we assume, again, we are assuming a lot, but we assume that because we are, if you look to the bottom here, we have a recessionary or negative output gap. The central bank or the Federal Reserve is trying to close that gap, trying to get back to LRAS, get back to full employment output. In order to do so, expansionary policy, money supply shifts right, which causes the nominal interest rate to go down. And if you look across to the investment demand curve, you'll notice that greater quantity of investment is demanded when the interest rate is lower. So this has the cumulative effect of AD shifting right as well, where we get back to, assumedly, back to long-run economic potential at a new higher price level and a greater level of output than before. All right, the other direction, contractionary monetary policy. So if we want to contract, if we assume we have an inflationary gap and want to close it, we're probably going to raise the reserve ratio, raise the discount rate, and sell bonds. Again, we don't have to do all three of these at the same time, but each of these individually, raising, selling bonds, contributes to contractionary policy. So same story, but in reverse. Excess reserves decrease, money supply decreases, nominal interest rate increases, IG goes down, AD shifts left because IG is a part of AD, price level goes down, real GDP goes down, unemployment goes up. And now the knock-on effect. So what happens with net exports? Because the nominal interest rate has gone up, demand for dollars increases, shifts to the right because investors outside the U.S. now see that U.S. has a higher interest rate, they want to invest their money in the U.S. Alternatively, people with dollars already, people inside the United States decide, yeah, I'm going to stay here because I don't think I can earn as high an interest rate somewhere else. So U.S. dollar appreciates, U.S. goods and services are now relatively more expensive for everyone else outside the United States. And then foreign goods, because of the appreciated U.S. dollar, are relatively cheaper. So X goes down, M goes up, net exports goes down, and then AD decreases even more. So graphically, looks like this. Money supply shifts left. Apologies, that shift was a little awkward. Nominal interest rate goes up. Quantity of investment demanded is lessened. And then 80 is reduced. And we hopefully get back to the long-run economic output or long-run economic equilibrium, closing that inflationary gap.